There was a fatal shooting that happened on April the 20th, 420, as we all call it, in Port Wentworth, Georgia. Now, Port Wentworth is like the edge of Chatham County. The county next to it is Effingham County. The next town over is Rankin. And in between Port Wentworth is, on the other side, is Garden City. So you're like on the edge of Chatham County in Port Wentworth. I have footage of Port Wentworth in this video. But anyways, the shooting happened in the Rice Creek neighborhood on Oak Grove Court near Rice Mill Road on Thursday night. Police responded around 6 p.m. to a call about a reported shooting in that neighborhood. When the police arrived, they found Trenton Harry, who's 32, shot to death in the home, and his brother Brenton Harry, 32, surrendered and was taken into custody at the scene. Port Wentworth police are still investigating the cause of the incident, like as far as the reason why he shot and killed his own twin brother, because this was his own twin brother that he shot and killed. I mean, they were the same age, and I really hate to speculate on like how he got killed. I mean, I'm not even sure whose house it was at this point, but the craziest part about this is when I was looking up the information about homicide count, the homicide counts and where the homicide count is at right now. I know the last video that I done about the homicide was the homicide number 10, but on Savannah Chatham website it says 11. Now I'm really curious where the 11 came from, because this information was put out on the 15th, but the murder happened on the 20th. I know that this murder wasn't included in that, but my assumption of why there's 11, where that 11 homicide came from, is that there has been a lot of suspicious deaths in Chatham County. There's been over 12 suspicious deaths in Chatham County, and some deaths, after when they investigate the death of that person, sometimes they can label it a homicide, sometimes they can label it a drug overdose. So that could be one reason why there is that 11th homicide. And also there has been, more shootings in Savannah that has been occurring. I haven't been reporting the shootings, but in some occasions, let's just say if somebody shoots me in the lungs and I'm in critical condition, but I survive, for in the hospital for 5 days. But let's just say, since I got shot in the lungs, let's just say I had water build up in my lungs and I died from, I don't know, some type of infection in my lung. It might not be listed as a homicide then and there. They might have to investigate more until they say, oh, well, the reason why he died from that lung infection because he was shot and killed. Well, he was shot in the lung. So, I mean, that's just, another, I mean, it's speculation, but I just don't know where that 11th homicide came from. But if that's the case, if there was an 11th homicide, then this is the 12th homicide in Chatham County, the homicide in Port Wentworth. I know I kind of went on a long spill, but I just I really was doing a lot of research and I really couldn't find anything about the 11th homicide victim. So if I could post any update about that and this case, I will let y'all know as well. But since we're on the topic of homicides, well, this homicide actually happened last year in October of 2016, but this just made some headline news because he just got indicted. A Savannah man has been indicted in the death of a 67-year-old father-in-law. Brian Lewis, who is 44, has been charged with 8 counts of Ronald Redding's death, 1 count of malice murder, 3 counts of felony murder, 1 count of aggravated battery, family violence, 1 count of aggravated assault, family violence, 1 count of exploitation and intimidation of a disabled adult, elder person or resident, and 1 count of concealing the death of another. Now, if you're wondering about how he concealed the death of this person, well, Metro Police officers reported to Redding's home on Fort Argyle Road in January for a wellness check. Redding's remains were found at the home. Redding shared some land with his daughter and son-in-law on the Fort Argyle Road in Leopold Lane. According to reports, Redding died in October 2016 after he was kicked and beaten. Now, Lewis reportedly hid Redding's body, the 67-year-old guy. He hid Redding's body in a trash can and placed the trash can in a shed. Lewis then reportedly told people Redding had moved. Lewis' next status conference hearing is scheduled for May 22nd at 2 p.m. Now, if you're wondering where most of these victims, like shooting victims or most victims, go to, is a hospital called Memorial. Now, Memorial is on Waters Avenue. Now, this news probably passed by a lot of people's heads because of Orange Crush, and Orange Crush I'm going to get to in the end. Now, Memorial is lining up an agreement. Now, this agreement is still pending because they have to do the official paperwork. It has to take 60 days to finalize the paperwork. But anyways, this agreement with the National Healthcare Giant Hospital Corporation of America, also known as HCA, to purchase Memorial University Medical Center. The document approved by the Memorial Health Board of Chatham County Hospital Authority allowed the Nashville, Tennessee-based profit provider to purchase assets for the hospital and authority in the sale valued at $710 million. Now, this agreement ends more than a year's attempt to find a deep pocket partner to provide financial stability for Memorial, which last year posted a loss of almost $44 million because previously they tried to work something out with a different incorporation, a corporation called Novant Health Incorporation that was based in Winston-Salem. That's based as a non-profit that offered to provide $295 million to Memorial during the first 10 years of the deal, but that deal was declined. A provision in the documents provides that $430 million from HCA will be used to pay off long-term debt, including some $168 million in Chatham County backed bonds from 2012 and other debt obligations, with the remaining sums going to the authority for creation of a trust under its control. Now, J. Curtis Lewis III, who chairs the Memorial Health Board, said Thursday that this should result in about a $200 million benefit. So they will benefit $200 million off of this, because you got to understand, hospitals are a business. Now, what comes with this project? Now, what they said will be done with this project is renovation for existing medical education auditorium and conference space, and they're also going to establish a presence in Pooler, I guess, like a mini hospital in Pooler, which Pooler they do need because Pooler is way out there. You know, there's no hospital in Pooler. I mean, you have an urgent care, but if you want to go to the hospital, you have to go inside like Savannah to go to the hospital. So that, I mean, that's well needed for the people in Pooler. And also there's an improvement of facilities in Bluffton and Richmond Hill. Bluffton is in South Carolina, and Richmond Hill, that's Bryan County. That's right outside of Savannah. And also they're trying to build out more space for the Heart and Vascular Institute facility with new patient beds. So it's quite exciting to see the change around and see things to change as far as like the hospitals. I don't often go to hospitals because I don't get sick, but this is great. But I mean, Memorial has been in the news before because of, you know, the debt problem and how could they change this around. So hopefully this could make major improvements as they stated in the document. Now let's talk about Tybee Island and Orange Crush. Well, before I get to Orange Crush, I'm going to talk about something that happened on Tybee Island probably about 2 weeks ago, where a 14-year-old male was trying to buy a gun from an undercover officer. Now, officers say the incident happened around 9 p.m. after the teen had been on the radar for 2 or 3 weeks. So officers were already saying that this teenage boy already was having issues, like they were already having issues with this juvenile, I guess, like in run-ins. I guess he wasn't arrested before, but he was arrested now. Officers first learned about the boy wanting to buy a gun from his friend who told police that the teen had been texting them. So the 14-year-old boy wanted to buy the gun because he wanted to kill 2 other teenagers and an adult. So he wanted to kill 3 people on the beach. But this teen is charged with making terroristic threats, criminal attempt to commit murder, possession of a controlled substance under 18 in the possession of a firearm, and possession of a firearm during a commission of a crime. I mean, this is a hard start for a 14-year-old. I mean, your life didn't even really start yet. I mean, you're not even 18 and you're trying to plan murders on the beach. Now, they're not releasing the juvenile's name or age, or they released his age, but they haven't released his name or race, so don't know too much information about this kid. But I mean, Tybee Island, like I said, is quite a calm place. You know, the loudest it get is Orange Crush and St. Patrick's weekend. So I mean, it's quite disturbing to hear that a 14-year-old boy wanted to buy a gun to whack 3 people on the beach. I mean, that's just sounds like something that would occur in Savannah. But I mean, I'm glad that the police actually put this to a halt. And also, Tybee Island is also facing the juvenile problem, which isn't, I guess it really isn't a big problem out on the beach. I'm not so sure. I mean, when you think about Tybee Island, you just think about, you know, having fun. You know, you don't really think about crime too much out there. But there's been some help with assisting juveniles. There is a Tybee clerk of council by the name of Jen, and she heads the Tybee Island Youth Council, and she worked with kids between the ages of 9 and 14 years old, you know, possibly younger, you know, and she's been there for 3 years as a volunteer. And you know, if she could reach out the kids on Tybee Island, you know, hopefully that could be enough. And just anything that just could be done just to touch these young kids, you know, because now he's going to have a criminal record. He's going to have a criminal record since the age of 14. I mean, that's a hard thing to erase. But since we're on the topic of Orange Crush last day is today, Sunday, and man, there has been a lot of people out there. I thought the presence of Orange Crush would slightly diminish, but obviously that hasn't. I didn't go this year. I mean, I had to work. Plus, I wouldn't even go anyway because, you know, one of my friends, I didn't say this in the last video that I done about Orange Crush, but one of my friends is a DJ, and part of the ordinance out there on Tybee Island is that you can't play loud music amplifiers. And you know, since him being a DJ, you know, I was gonna, you know, go out there with him and record him, you know, doing some cool stuff. But there is no loud music, so you know, things had got canceled. But also, I'm more about Orange Crush. Police presence is probably at its peak, you know, out there, because Tybee Island don't have that many police. I believe they have less than 20 police officers, you know, that really work on Tybee Island. You know, and that being said, you have to get help from other counties as well. You know, there's kind of like Camden counties, you know, Effingham County police are out there, you know, just patrolling. And you know, one thing that the police were doing out there, they had automatic tag readers, and one of the Tybee Island police officers pulled over a stolen car out of Garden City using the tag reader, and out that same car they recovered illegal guns, and I mean, I think they even found drugs in that stop. And I mean, they've been pulling people over left and right, you know, in Tybee Island, because Tybee Island isn't a big town. I mean, there's practically one big street on Tybee Island that takes you everywhere, and besides that, I mean, there's a lot of sub streets, but Tybee Island isn't that big of an island. And just more about the narrative that I read from like WTOC, Savannah Morning Now, and like every other news media outlet that reported on Orange Crush, it kind of made it seem like everybody who attended Orange Crush was like, you know, evil, like they participated in like, the worst events. You got college kids, who are black that's out there who just want to have fun, and also with that you do have some people that's gonna, try to make things worse, for everybody. As far as the guns and fights, and I don't know how many people were locked up. I tried to look up that information. I can't get that for right now, but I mean, as far as like the narratives that were put out about Orange Crush, I really wasn't digging it. Not because of Orange Crush reputation, because Orange Crush, it does have a wild reputation, but I just didn't like the fact that how they were painting Orange Crush in such a terrible light. Like, this is like the worst party there is, every year. That's not the case, because people, like, there's way more people that get arrested during St. Patrick's weekend, than Orange Crush. And I've been seeing that a lot in my Facebook comment section, where they were saying, oh, they just have something directly against Orange Crush. Yes, they do, because the people who plan Orange Crush, they don't go about it in a lawful manner. You have to get paperwork. If you have a party on the beach, any type of festival on a party on the beach, and you have more than 75 people, you have to get paperwork behind that. Not only that, but you have to get insurance behind that. Like I said, remember that magical number. If you got more than 75 people, you have to get a permit. Obviously there's thousands of people on the beach during that time. So I mean, today's the last day. Like I said, I'm not going, but hopefully everybody who went had a good time and nothing bad happened to you. But that's all for right now. If I could put any other update out for any other news topic that I talked about in this news segment or previous news segments, I will discuss. But that's all for right now. It's Pac-Man Jones with Savannah Seaport News, and stay blessed, Seaport.